potentially sales that affects your actual career. There are totally ways to get around that, but what that's going to require is that you be smart and strategic. So I'm going to go in sort of reverse order of importance on purpose so that you kind of get an idea of where I think you might want to start and build yourself up to doing the final, but probably more important of the three things I'm going to suggest. So the first one is going to be LinkedIn. So at this point, I've preached LinkedIn a lot. I love LinkedIn. I think more people should be using LinkedIn for what it's meant to be doing. But knowing that, what I'm going to say here is that LinkedIn, as maybe some of you know, LinkedIn bought this organization called Pulse a few years ago, and they integrated Pulse into their actual product as an articles component. So you can actually go into LinkedIn and write an article, and that article will be served up to your LinkedIn organization. Like the people who are following you, your connections on LinkedIn will actually see that article, see that you've written an article. It'll be inside of your LinkedIn profile as content that you have created. But more importantly, LinkedIn articles, because of the way that Pulse was set up, LinkedIn articles are served up in search as well. So if you have a topic that you want to cover that you know will bring you sales, will establish your expertise, and we've talked about LinkedIn for establishing expertise and talked about the exact same methodology, but if you're trying to get found for search, not just establishing expertise, but actually trying to get found, this is one really good approach to doing that, is writing articles. Now, the way you want to be strategic about this, or how you want to be strategic about this, is to write articles that answer questions. So you're not necessarily going to be just writing articles that give information, but that you're specifically going to be looking up what people are asking questions about as it relates to your product or service. When someone is out there in the internets and they have a question about your legal services, or they have a question about your insurance products, or they have a question, and any number of frequently asked questions. You can go to Quora and find questions. You can go to Clarity and find questions. There are plenty of ways. You can go to Stack Overflow and find questions. Wherever there are questions, there's all sorts of boards out there. You can Reddit. You can do any number of ways. What you're going to do, and you can also use tools like Keywords Everywhere or BuzzSumo or any of the other search engine optimization software, and look up what people are asking. So I would go with the Quora version of reality first. Go to Quora, see what people are asking in your specific area, and use those questions to literally create a set of articles that you're going to write. So you're going to write questions that answers that directly answer these questions. And don't be clever with the name of your article. This is going to be the big game changer. You're not going to be cute. You just going to write the name of the article as the question, right? So the question is how to change the CSS on X type of product. If that is the question that you're seeing, answer it, but let that be the subject line of your article. How to change the CSS on X blah, 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 blah. Like, just answer it, just use the exact question and answer it in a 750, 1,000 word article. This is not hard. You do not want to be cute. Okay, when I say cute, I don't mean you do not need to look up, you can look up a headline generator. You'll actually do way better than if you were to figure out a headline on your own. But with this specific strategy of trying to get found in search, the idea here is to use the exact search question that someone is using and like answer that question. Don't not answer that question, but use the exact question as your headline. Because when you use that exact question, what the search engines do is when someone types that question in, the closer you get to that question that that person is asking, the more likely you are to get served up on search, especially on LinkedIn. Because on your own website, you don't have any authority, right? Like your website, unless you work for some company that's been around for 120 years, it is unlikely your authority on your website is going to beat LinkedIn. And so since that's unlikely, then what you can do is actually use LinkedIn as a repository for answers to questions that people may have about a specific topic. Okay, do you see what we did there? And if you are a regional or local business, make sure you add the in region. So if it's obviously that CSS question doesn't work, but let's say the question is, what's the difference between an LLC? I think the sun is coming. The answer is probably going to go back away. There's clouds in the forecast all day. And if the question is, what's the difference between an LLC and an S corp? That's a common question that people come up with in law, whatever. Like, add the in Ohio. So you're going to go over to LinkedIn, and now as the subject line, what's the difference between a LLC and an S corp? That's your subject line. And then you're going to, or that's your headline, and then you're going to, or your article title, whatever you want to call it, that's the top thing there. Your article is going to be that, your actual question, and then you're going to answer the question. And you want to reiterate the question several times during the article, just in case people were like, now what was I, like if there's going to be points where they might stray away and forget why they were reading, because it happens. One thing we're not talking about keyword stuffing here. We're trying to write stuff that people are going to actually like, and half the job there is to write stuff they will remember. And if you can reiterate their question during the article, that during the thing that you're writing, that actually helps quite a bit. Okay, so LinkedIn, write an article. Look up questions, write an article. I'm a fan of keywords everywhere. If you haven't used it yet, think about it. What it does is actually, you can look up a search term like LLC, if S corp, something like that, that you think people might be asking questions about, and it'll actually give you a set of alternate questions that people might be asking. So if you're going, oh, well, that question doesn't work for me, like I can't answer that question, or it's been done to death, like, first of all, if it's been done to death, do it again. But even if you feel like, oh, I can't because it's been done to death, go into a software like Keywords Everywhere will actually give you a bunch of different alternatives to that question that people are also searching for. And then you can write your article with that subject line or that headline instead of the overdone one, which there's no such thing. So every time someone says that, I'm like, there ain't no such thing. Like, there's no such thing as done to death when it comes to search. You want to actually use terms that have been searched a lot. That's the idea. If it's common, good thing. Okay, so LinkedIn. That's your maybe like lowest barrier to entry. You can write the article, put it up on LinkedIn, and you don't have to have a website. You can put your contact information in there. When someone finds that article, likely they're just going to click on your face because your face is associated with the article. It's going to take them over to LinkedIn. They'll click on your face after they get done reading it and be like, great. Or you can have your contact information at the bottom of the article. At the bottom of LinkedIn articles is a really great place to put in, like you can put in hyperlinks, you can put in phone numbers, you can put in all sorts of information. So don't shy away from selling yourself at the bottom of that LinkedIn article, just like you would in an article on your website. It's not as if you would have like contact information and all that stuff at the bottom of an article on your own website. So creating articles on LinkedIn, short form, they don't have to be these super long Google articles that everyone talks about where you have to like write 3,000 words or no one's going to read it. First of all, that ain't even true. But if you are going to write for LinkedIn and maybe you're a little leery about getting started with this whole thing, start out with the shorter articles and just get it done. Way better. Just get the job done. Okay, write the articles. That's your first option. Your second way in to search engine, I should say domination, to actually getting found using some of the social search engines is images. Image search is growing at an alarmingly rapid rate, mostly because our devices, which I don't have mine over there. I try to keep it away from me because it's so tempting. But our devices are actually, Google is serving up whenever you're using your mobile device to do a search. A lot of times, if you're using a keyword like example or template or any of those types of things, so if you're looking for an example of something, the first thing that comes up is an image search because they assume that you want to glance, not read. And so if that's the case, and even if you type PDF, a lot of times an image will come up instead of a PDF. So since we know that, then we want to think about, okay, that thing that I just said, where you're going to write the article about CSS on X platform or changing CSS on X platform, you need to be thinking, okay, how can I create an infographic? And I put that word in quotation marks because it doesn't need to be some fancy infographic. Use Canva. There's literally an infographic button on Canva. You can click and say, I'm going to create an infographic. And you can put the information in there and just make it pretty. That's all your job is. And then you put that infographic on Pinterest. Now, let's say that again, your website is atrocious. When you add an infographic or an image onto Pinterest, you don't have to link it to your website. If you have a business account on Pinterest, you can link that to anything you want. And you can put the pin on there and then link it to whatever you want. And so I would, if I were you and have the situation of having a website that's just not awesome, you can take that pin that you just created and pin it to Pinterest and link it to your LinkedIn article. And so now you have an infographic that links back to your LinkedIn article as well, which is also going to, improve the authority of that article. Kind of nice. Anytime someone clicks on it and goes over there, it just increases the likelihood that that article is going to get found in search. It's kind of great, right? So we're just doubling up on things. And on top of that, if you're using the exact keyword phrase in your title for that image that you found on Quora or that you found using keywords everywhere, it again increases the likelihood that that image gets served up in search. Okay? And so what we're doing here is using Pinterest, because Pinterest images are on the search engine. Pinterest is in and of itself a search engine. So yeah, someone could just find that on search when they're searching for it on Pinterest, which is great. But you want to think about Pinterest strategically. For everyone who says, my business isn't Pinterest friendly, I can't use Pinterest for my business, which people say that to me all the time. They're like, oh, my business is local. And I'm like, so is Magnolia. If you guys are not familiar with Magnolia, but like Magnolia Home Store is in Waco, Texas. It's not like that thing ain't local. I mean, it's local. It's local. It's not only local, it's local, and it's in a small town. And yeah, they have a YouTube channel. Like they're on Pinterest. Like, don't think that just because something is local that you can't use the internet to get found. You can absolutely use your search to get found. You would just want to make sure that you're putting inside of that your local search terms. So if someone is searching something, and I'm going to use this example because it's hilarious and it works, but if someone is searching, like maybe you were watching a YouTube video about a specific hairstyle, like balayage or any of these types of things, and I say that's silly, a lot of the people who say that search doesn't work aren't in that type of industry. If you have a bunch of images of befores and afters of balayage, you can simply create images that are like balayage before and after in Elyria, or balayage before and after in whatever city you're in, because what that gives people is, oh, wait a second, not only when they say balayage before and after, because that's what they're looking for, if you say it's in the specific geographic location, first of all, every search engine is going to make that more likely to come up in that geographic area, right? Yeah, you see what we did there? And so you just make it significantly more likely that you're going to get found in that geographic area that you're representing. And anyone who's actually searching is going to see that and go, oh, wait a second, I didn't even realize that there's someone who's in Elyria who can do this for me, or who's in Lorain or Wellington or wherever you are, that can actually do that for you. Cleveland Heights what's the place that people, Lyndhurst. Like, I love, when I listen to the Diane Rehm show, which I used to listen to all the time, I love when someone from Lyndhurst would call in and be like, I'm from Lyndhurst, Ohio. And I was always like, don't nobody know what that is, man. Just say you're from Cleveland. Anyway, those of you who are in, other states, I'm sure you have that thing too, when someone is using their super hyper local town name and you're like, just say you're from Detroit. Just for the purposes of the entire world, no one knows where you are. But anyway, the internet knows where you are. So use your hyper local search term like Lyndhurst or Cleveland Heights or Oak Park or whatever that specific place is, because when you do that, what it does is it actually puts you in that search area whenever anyone in that area is actually looking something up. And so it's fantastic. Using Pinterest as your feeder into the search engines is a genius way to use Pinterest. Instead of thinking, I'm going to use Pinterest because my stuff is so pinnable and I'm doing a decor business, or whatever the thing is that your brain is telling you that's the only people who can use Pinterest. That's not the only way to use Pinterest. They're not the only thing that Pinterest can do. Pinterest can do a lot for you. You just have to think about it strategically, okay? And again, remember the tip, Just because you're putting it on Pinterest and you don't want to send people to your website, it doesn't mean you can't send them to your LinkedIn article about that exact thing, okay? And for those of you who are like, you really want me to write a LinkedIn article that's like, what does the process of balayage look like? Yeah, man, if that's what your audience wants to know, and you are a hairstylist, and that, yes, I would like for you to write that article, please. Because just because LinkedIn is a platform for professionals, first of all, you are a professional. You're a professional hairstylist, and people who are on LinkedIn have hair. It's not, again, it's one of those weird things where we kind of are drawing these imaginary lines that don't exist. And on top of that, the purpose of writing the article isn't for your 2,000 LinkedIn connections to see it. Great if they do, fantastic, but that's beside the point. The point of writing the article is so that when someone who is searching on Google is looking for that information, you've written something that they can read about it, okay? That's why you're writing the article. You're not writing it for the people who you're connected with on LinkedIn. You're writing it for the people in the internet who are looking for that, okay? So we got LinkedIn, we have Pinterest, and then we have the big old obvious elephant in the room, which is the second largest search engine in the world, and the one that you should be focused on, which is YouTube. Okay? So if you're trying to get search found in search without a website, like your website is not doing it, which everyone here should know that their website is not doing it. If that's where you're trying to get found, you're trying to get found, but your website ain't working, YouTube, okay? And so let's just get this out of the way. You are beautiful, and your voice sounds fantastic, and your hair is just not that big a deal. If I can come in here with my curly hair that don't do the same thing from the morning to the evening, like my hair did not look like this when I woke up this morning, and it is only 11:20, and so it is just what it is, right? That is just how it is sometimes. If I can do it, you can do it, okay? With my not wearing makeup self and all these, stop with the excuses. Video is awesome. Please, please, please use video. And you're going to do the exact same thing on your YouTube channel that I was suggesting you do on your LinkedIn and with your Pinterest. You're going to find those core questions that people are asking, and you're going to use your YouTube channel to answer them. You're going to sit in front of a camera just like this, one-to-one. You're going to talk to the camera, and you're going to answer that person's question. Now, the thing I want you to do when you're answering questions on LinkedIn is not pretend like you're talking to an audience of millions. I want you to envision one other person, and you're going to talk to that one person, because that one person is the person who's watching your video. Every single time someone is watching the video, it's usually with one person. It's just one. I mean, sometimes there's a crowd, but even then it's going into the one person's ears. And so, one-to-one, it makes it more personal, okay? But that's it. You're going to take 5 minutes and answer the question. And if you've already written the article on it, then basically you have your script. Don't read it. Please, God, don't read it. But you have an outline, something that you're going to say, answer to the question. You can have it sitting in front of you. You can do like I do. And I have in front of me, every time I do class, I have a note card with information written on it, so that if I need to glance down and look at it, I have that information. Do something along those lines. Keep it simple. 5 minutes. You don't have to do 25-minute long videos like I'm doing here. You can keep it simple. One of the reasons why these videos are so long is because they're live, and because I'm trying to give you a lot of information. Your YouTube videos don't need to be like this. I would say, though, if you're thinking about, oh, well, I should do that on Facebook, that's fine, but Facebook videos are not searchable. They're just not. So you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're like, I'm doing this on Facebook because it's like meant to fulfill the same thing that the YouTube thing is. It's not going to do that. And I'll say this, if you have a big enough audience on Facebook, you would get more views on Facebook than you're likely to get on YouTube. But the views on Facebook that you get are the kind of views that you don't need, because they're likely people who already know you exist. Your views that you get on YouTube are going to likely be people who did not know you exist. You can be discovered on YouTube. You can be discovered on LinkedIn. You can be discovered on Pinterest. On Facebook, you're less likely to be discovered. It's not as if people are like sharing your content. If they are, fantastic. But again, they'd have to do that in order for you to get found, because Facebook search is crap. And nothing on Facebook is delivered in Google. It's just not. Like, your Facebook page can be delivered inside of Google, but none of your individual posts are delivered. None of that content comes up individually. If you have done an entire Facebook Live series on something that, like I'm doing right here, it increases the likelihood of you getting found, but the search that they do in order for you to be found on a Facebook Live has to be pretty specific, and that usually has to also include your name. That's the reason why I said it has to be pretty specific. Like, if you searched my name, Lindsay Sims, and the name, and it wouldn't even come up, probably you'd have to search Lauren Loft Social, because that's the page I'm on right now. Like, that's the crazy thing, is that even with my name, you would still have to search my business name and like Facebook Live. Like, you would have to do a weird convoluted search in order to come up with these videos in Google. Versus if I just simply created a video in YouTube that answers a question and then use that question as my subject line, yes, sir, that question will get served up, especially if someone does. And if you use the exact question that people are asking, it'll get served up. And what's fantastic about being served up in YouTube is that you're getting served up with a bunch of people who are just answering that exact same question. And I don't know if you guys are like me. I'm the kind of person who doesn't just watch one video whenever I search something. I always watch a series of videos. I don't take one person's word for it. I watch several. And then whoever of those people answers my question the best is the one that I open up the description box and I click the link to see if they have more information about that. Those are the people who are the ones who get found and discovered and continue on in a relationship. And what I want you to believe, because it's true, is that there are customers out there for all of us. This is a big, big, big blue ocean that we're all swimming in, and there's plenty of room for everybody. There's plenty of customers for everybody. And what you should be doing is just simply throwing yourself into the water. A lot of times as business owners and as marketers, we're like, but I don't want to, or why does it have to be me? If you're a salesperson, or if you're a marketing and salesperson, it's got to be you, dude. That's it. That's it. Especially if your income in some way is tied to your getting yourself out there. There's no better way to do that than YouTube, Pinterest, and LinkedIn as a nice little combo. And again, if the website is an issue, you can always, in the description box, link to your LinkedIn. You can link to a Calendly, which is a way for people to make appointments with you. You can put phone numbers down there. You can put all sorts of things in your description box so that people can get more information, follow up with you. You can put resources tabs in there. There's all sorts of fantastic ways that you can keep up with people, or have people keep up with you, using the description box in a YouTube video. So I went there from like the easiest to the more difficult, and I would put Pinterest in the middle, even though some of you are like, well, infographic is easy. It's probably a toss-up actually between whether or not LinkedIn is easier or Pinterest is easier. They're both easy in all reality. They both are. And so is doing video. Do a one-take video. Do not be fighting with yourself about, well, now I have to edit, and now I have to do this. Buy a webcam, connect it to your computer, and do a one-take video. Stop playing with yourself. This is not that hard. And there are video editing software available inside of YouTube. YouTube actually does have a decent video editor. You can add music, you can add intros, you can add outros, all using YouTube. You don't have an excuse anymore. Create content, okay? Get this stuff out there so that you can get found, so that you can actually sell more and share your worth with the world, okay? There's no purpose in keeping all this stuff to yourself when you can actually get it out there. And it doesn't matter if you're local, it doesn't matter if you're small. When you're in the internet, no one knows, no one cares. If you have the answer to their question, you win, okay? And so I want you to do a combination of getting over yourself, and a combination of being okay with being found, and a combination of having some self-confidence, because I think a lot of this boils down to being confident. If you got a little bit of confidence, this stuff just ain't so hard. You use the resources that I've told you about today, and you really will get found, and you really will have the opportunity to grow your business and grow your reach using social media instead of using the search engine optimization that may or may not be working for you. Okay, so that's it for today. I am going to go ahead and sign off. I have probably taken more than 25 minutes. I try not to look at the clock. I will be in the comment section, so if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them down below, and I will talk to you guys later.